Christ is risen from the dead, trampling down death by death, and upon those in the tombs bestowing life. Good evening, everybody. Today is the 27th of April, as according to the old calendar. I am, of course, Rita Lazar. Welcome to Voices of British Orthodoxy. Christ is risen. Indeed, he is risen. Christos Voskrese. Christos Voskrese. Faistino Voskrese. Christos Anesti. Alephos Anesti. Today we have three saints, so let's go into it. Our first entry is for Saint Asicus, also known as Saint Asicus, also known as Saint Asicus and Saint Tassac, and he is from the 5th century. One of Saint Patrick's earliest disciples, Saint Asicus was renowned as an excellent coppersmith. St. Patrick made him abbot bishop of Elphin, County Roscommon, where he is venerated as patron saint. St. Asicus lived to an advanced age, spending the last years of his life as a hermit, reposed circa AD 500. So I've also got an extra entry for him. First Bishop of Elphin, Ireland, converted to Christianity by St. Patrick. St. Asicus of Elphin, also known as Ascicus, was a prominent figure in early Christian era in Ireland. Born in the 5th century, Asicus began his life as a married coppersmith and silversmith. However, his life took a significant turn when he encountered St. Patrick, the patron saint of Ireland, and became a devoted disciple. Impressed by Asicus's deep faith and devotion, St. Patrick ordained him as the first bishop of the Diocese of Elphin, situated in present-day County Roscommon, which is in Ireland. As the bishop, Asicus tirelessly worked to spread the teaching of Christ and increase the influence of the church in the region. During his time as bishop, Asicus established numerous churches and monasteries throughout Elphin, nurturing the growth of the Christian community. He crafted chalices for the newly established churches and monasteries. His leadership and compassion endeared him to the people, and he soon became known for his wisdom, piety, and selflessness. However, as Asicus grew older, he began to doubt his own worthiness to lead his parishioners. Overwhelmed by a sense of humility, he made the heartfelt decision to retire from his bishopric, seeking solitude and a life of prayer. He withdrew to an island in Donegal Bay. Distressed by their beloved bishop's departure, the monks from Asicus's diocese followed him to the island, pleading for his return. Despite their fervent requests, Asicus remained steadfast, dedicating his remaining years to a prayer of life and contemplation as a hermit. St. Asicus of Elphin lived out the rest of his days in seclusion, focusing on his relationship with God and interceding on behalf of his former flock. His piety and his holiness were evident to all who encountered him, making him a revered figure among the clergy and lay folk. Finally, in the year 490, St. Asicus peacefully passed away on the island of Raccoon in Donegal Island. I think for other saints I'll also read the extra thing, assuming it doesn't. So our next saint of the day, especially for like longer entries like that, where it's like, yeah, we have a small paragraph in this book, but a person has put in a group chat this much longer one. So I will read both in the future. I think that is good. Our next saint is Saint Enoda, also known as Synod, Canada, and Quiddick, and he is from the 6th century, a grandson of the great Welsh chieftain St. Brychan of Brycheiniog, who we commemorated back on the 6th of April. St. Enoda is listed as an abbot in the martyrologies, though we do not know of what monastery. Langener in Powys in Wales, and Kenda Church in Herefordshire, England, are named for him, as are most likely Saint Enoda and or Enoch in Cornwall. He is also the same saint as the Breton Saint Quiddick. And the entry in here says Saint Enoda, also known as Tenanan, Tinador, and Temoch, is a 5th century Cornish sheikh from Brecknockshire in South Wales. He is the grandson of King Saint Brichan of Brecknock and built numerous churches. He was also an abbot, although the location of his monastery is not known. And, okay, in here there's a final entry, but on here there's a 4th entry for a different saint. I might read it as a just in case. I'll read it as a just in case, but our final entry, as according to this book, is Saint Winewald, or Vinewald. I'm not too certain how to pronounce his name, but he is from the 8th century. The second abbot of Beverley, Saint Vinwald succeeded Saint Berchun, who we will commemorate on the 15th of May, to that post. He appears to have been successful in his efforts to make Beverley a centre of spiritual and cultural growth. Saint Vinwald reposed circa AD 731. And the entry... I think the entry in here is basically the same. Oh no, wait, there's a slight difference. Never mind. Saint Winwald, also known as Winwald of Beverley, was the second abbot of Beverley Monastery in England, succeeding Saint Berchun. He's noted for his efforts in making Beverley a centre for English cultural and spiritual growth. Very similar entries. That's it for the book, but in here there's another saint, whose entry I shall read. So Saint Morghold, also known as Macalus, Bishop of the Isle of Man, ca. 488 AD. Saint Morghold, also known as Macalus, is venerated as the second apostle of the Isle of Man after Saint Patrick. According to tradition, he was an Irish prince who initially lived as a pirate and gathered a band of robbers around him. One day he and his gang planned to trick Saint Patrick, but when they uncovered a man that they pretended to be dead. They found him truly dead. Terrified, they begged forgiveness from Saint Patrick, who converted and baptized them. As penance for his past crimes, Saint Patrick ordered Morghold to sail from Ireland in a rudderless, oarless coracle, relying on God's will. Morghold drifted to the Isle of Man, where he established himself as a hermit and later became the bishop, leading an exemplary life and being chosen for his holiness. St. Morghold is celebrated today and is remembered for his kind disposition towards the Manx natives. I'm gonna just quickly check something to see why that isn't actually in the book, because I think I might have a theory. Never mind. I do not know how St. Morghold never made it into this book, but I think for the future, when these entries are posted in this particular group chat, I will read those entries as well, because I think the extra information is always good. This has been a longer episode, but thank you all for watching. I may those saints intercede for us before the righteous judge. May you all forgive me for any butchered pronunciations. I must admit, I wasn't expecting this to be almost 10 minutes, so Christ was risen from the dead, trampling down death by death, and upon those in the tombs bestowing life. We do have one entry for tomorrow, at the very least in the book. And I will see you all tomorrow. God bless you all. Amen.